smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
Fredo Corleone screams this at his brother Michael in one of the most heartbreaking scenes in cinema. And he's right. Fredo is smart. But that just makes what happens to him even more tragic, because Fredo's weakness isn't stupidity. It's something far more dangerous. Everyone remembers Fredo as the weak brother. The one who fumbles his gun. The one who gets slapped around by Mo Green. The one who betrays Michael and gets executed for it. But if you actually analyze Fredo's psychology, you realize something disturbing. Fredo isn't weak because he's incompetent. He's dangerous because his desperation for respect makes him the perfect weapon for anyone who knows how to use him. Today we're breaking down the psychology of Fredo Corleone. Why his need for validation made him exploitable. How emotional manipulation works on people like Fredo. And why understanding Fredo's psychology reveals something critical about power, family, and the most dangerous type of person in any organization. Let's get into it. To understand Fredo's psychology, you have to understand his position in the family hierarchy. Fredo is the textbook middle child, but with impossibly high stakes. Sonny is the eldest, hot-headed, violent, but undeniably strong. The natural heir. Michael is the youngest son, brilliant, decorated war hero, the legitimate one. Vito's secret favorite. And then there's Fredo. Neither the heir nor the chosen one. In The Godfather Part 1, there's a scene that tells you everything about Fredo's psychology. Vito Corleone is shot outside his fruit stand. And Fredo is there. He's supposed to be protecting his father. Watch what happens. Fredo pulls his gun, fumbles it, drops it, and then collapses onto the street weeping while his father bleeds out. And Michael sees this. Michael, who moments later will calmly execute two men in a restaurant, watches his older brother completely fall apart in the moment that matters most. That moment crystallizes Fredo's identity. He's the one who fails when it counts. And everyone knows it. From that moment on, Fredo isn't just the middle brother, he's the weak link. The one you can't trust with anything important. The one everyone has to protect rather than rely on. And here's what makes Fredo's psychology so tragic. He knows this about himself. He's self-aware enough to understand that everyone sees him as weak, but not strong enough to change it. So Fredo compensates. Watch how he operates throughout the films. In Vegas, he tries to project power by associating with Mo Green, by showing off his connections, by pretending he's important. He name drops constantly. He over-explains things to prove he understands the business. He gets defensive immediately when anyone questions him. These are all classic signs of someone with deep insecurity trying desperately to convince others and himself that he matters. Now let's talk about why Fredo's psychology makes him dangerous, not to his enemies, but to his own family. Fredo's core psychological need is external validation. He needs people to tell him he's smart, capable, important. And because that validation never comes from his family, he becomes desperate for it from anyone who'll give it to him. This is where Hyman Roth enters the picture. Hyman Roth is one of the most brilliant manipulators in cinema. And watch how he approaches Fredo. He doesn't offer him money. He doesn't threaten him. He offers Fredo something far more valuable. Respect. Through Johnny Ola, Roth brings Fredo business opportunities. Real deals. Partnerships. The kind of respect that says, you're a businessman. You're capable. You're not just Michael's brother, you're Fredo Corleone. And Fredo, starving for this validation, eats it up. Because finally, someone is treating him like he matters. Here's what makes Fredo's psychology so dangerous. His need for validation overrides his judgment. A strong person evaluates opportunities based on merit. But Fredo evaluates opportunities based on how they make him feel. This emotional decision-making makes Fredo the perfect tool. You don't need to offer him the best deal. You just need to make him feel valued while offering it. And here's the truly tragic part. Fredo convinces himself he's being smart. Fredo genuinely believes he was participating in legitimate business. He tells himself he was being included, being respected, being given real responsibility. He can't see that he was being used. Because acknowledging that would mean admitting he's exactly what everyone thinks he is: weak and exploitable. Now let's examine how Fredo's psychology leads directly to his betrayal of Michael. Fredo doesn't wake up one day and decide to betray his brother. That's not how it works. The betrayal happens gradually, through a series of small compromises. First, Johnny Ola asks Fredo for harmless information. To Fredo, these seem like reasonable questions from a business partner. He's not thinking about security implications, he's thinking about being helpful, being valuable, being part of something. Fredo's psychology creates a massive blind spot. He can't see how he's being used because seeing it would shatter his entire self-image. If Fredo admits that Johnny Ola is pumping him for information to set up Michael for assassination, then Fredo has to admit he's not as smart as he thinks. He's exactly the weak link everyone says he is. So instead, Fredo's brain does what all our brains do when confronted with uncomfortable truth: it creates a rationalization. The scene in Cuba where Michael confronts Fredo is psychologically brilliant. And watch Fredo's response. He doesn't deny it. He can't. But he also can't fully admit it. Instead, he tries to justify. This is Fredo's entire psychology in one scream. He's not defending his actions, he's defending his intelligence, his competence, his worth as a person. Here's what makes Fredo's psychology truly tragic. He's self-aware enough to know everyone thinks he's weak, but not self-aware enough to understand why. Fredo thinks people don't respect him because they're wrong about him. The truth is, people don't respect him because his desperate need for their respect makes him unreliable. Strength isn't about being tough or smart. Strength is about having a stable enough sense of self that you can't be emotionally manipulated. And Fredo never develops that strength. So what's the lesson here? Why does Fredo's psychology matter beyond just understanding one character in a movie? In any organization, family, business, military, whatever, the weak link isn't the person who's incompetent. It's the person who's competent enough to access sensitive information but insecure enough to be manipulated. This is exactly how Hyman Roth manipulated Fredo. And it's how manipulators operate in real life. They find people with psychological vulnerabilities and exploit them. Fredo's story also reveals something critical about family dynamics. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the family isn't the ambitious one or the angry one. It's the one who feels invisible. Michael kills his enemies efficiently. But Fredo almost destroys everything because he's trying to prove he's not weak. The desperation to be seen as strong makes people do catastrophically stupid things. And here's the most devastating part of Fredo's psychology. Even at the end, he doesn't fully understand what he did. When Michael has Fredo killed, Fredo probably dies still believing he was just trying to participate, to be included, to finally get the respect he deserved. He never understands that his need for that respect, that desperate hunger for validation from anyone who'd give it, is exactly what made him dangerous. We all know a Fredo. Maybe we've been Fredo at some point, desperate for validation, making decisions based on how they make us feel rather than whether they're actually wise. Fredo's psychology teaches us, the most dangerous vulnerability isn't ignorance or incompetence. It's the emotional need that makes us willing to compromise our judgment, our values, and our loyalty for the feeling of being valued. Fredo didn't betray Michael because he was evil. He betrayed Michael because someone finally made him feel smart, important, and respected. And that feeling was worth more to him than his brother's life. That's why weakness is dangerous. Not because weak people do harm on purpose, but because their psychological vulnerabilities make them weapons that anyone can pick up and use. The psychology of Fredo Corleone, a man not stupid, but starving, not evil, but exploitable, not incompetent, but so desperate to prove he's competent that he becomes the perfect tool for his family's enemies. Drop a comment if you ever known someone like Fredo Corleone. Or have you ever caught yourself making decisions based on needing validation rather than what's actually right? Subscribe for psychological breakdowns of cinema's greatest characters. For more Godfather analysis, check out this next video on screen now. I'll see you in the next one.